Did you know that every year over 100,000 people in the UK die from smoking-related causes? And did you know that alcohol is 10% of the UK burden of disease and death, making alcohol one of the 3 biggest lifestyle risk factors for disease and death in the UK after smoking and obesity? Hello and welcome to Legal Killers Day here on the Chrissy B Show. Tonight we want to raise awareness about the addictions of smoking and drinking, to understand people who indulge in them, and of course to help those who are trying to quit or want to help a family member to quit. And very quickly, here are some of the tweets from you regarding this subject. Robert says, "I'm amazed seeing people smoking on their way into the gym." Hashtag smoking kills. Me too, actually. Aaron Lee says, "Is alcoholism addiction a socially acceptable disease?" Linguini says, "Having a 35-year-old patient with a 50% chance of dying in 3 months from liver failure makes me never want to drink again. Hashtag alcohol kills." Shaylee says, "If you're smoking around your children, you shouldn't be so surprised when they get sick." And Diana Webb says, "Thinking of my little brother today who lost his life to COPD early this year." And COPD stands for chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I hope I've said that correctly. And here are some more statistics. There are about 10 million adults who smoke cigarettes in Great Britain. This is about 1/6 of the total UK population, and about half of all regular cigarette smokers will eventually be killed by their addiction. That's from ash.org.uk. In 2012, there were 8,367 alcohol-related deaths in the UK. The number of older people between the ages of 60 and 74 admitted to hospitals in England with mental and behavioural disorders associated with alcohol use has risen by over 150% in the past 10 years, while the figure for 15 to 59-year-olds has increased by 94%. That's from alcoholconcern.org.uk. That's why we need to take action now. And to aid us with that, we have brought in our resident GP, Dr. Rob Hicks, to guide us step by step what these legal killers can really do to us, and will be giving us all those important tips on how you can quit if this is you, so make sure you don't miss that. We'll also be showing you some simple and fun things you can do to help yourself to recovery, plus I'll be sharing with you my top tips on how to help a loved one quit bad habits. But first, it's news with Jenny Cortez Ibanez. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Chris.
How you doing?
Good, good. Lovely to be back. How are you?
I'm very well.
Great.
Pleased we're doing this topic because the stats are shocking, aren't they?
Yes, and actually I love the headline to tonight's show. Legal killers, they really are, according to my research. Now, before I get to all the topical stuff for tonight's show, very quickly in the headlines today. So we know what happened in Virginia with the killings of the 2 journalists who were actually gunned down by their former colleague. And what recently came out was that he was actually ordered by WDBJ7, his former where he used to work, was to actually seek mental health treatment, or otherwise he would be fired after very threatening behaviour.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So he was on the radar already then? Like.
Exactly. So documents obtained by The Guardian basically showed some emails which were sent to the director and forwarded to the gunman and several other senior colleagues. And what it showed, and one of them said from the director, he said to him that in 1 month he had behaved in a manner that was resulted in 1 or more of your co-workers feeling threatened or uncomfortable. So what actually happened, that happened a couple of years ago, and he was actually given a number of times to sort of seek assistance in 2012 rather, but he didn't take it, and he was fired 3 months later. And actually the police had to, take him out of the building because he was causing chaos and wouldn't leave the building. And of course, in 2014, actually, he filed racial and sexual discrimination lawsuits against the station, but that later on got dismissed. So he was going through issues, and that's what happened. But actually, also very quickly, it emerged that after the death of Flanagan, who's the gunman, the 23-page manifesto was sent to ABC News, reportedly sent by the gunman, and it actually blamed the murder on the Charleston church massacre, in which 9 black people were killed in South Carolina. And he actually referred to the Charleston gunman Dylan Roof. He actually read saying, "You want a race war, ... bring it on, then you white, ...
Oh dear.
So lots of things going on in his head, which is quite sad, really.
It is. I mean, the thing is, you can offer help to people, but if they themselves don't want to take it, there's nothing you can do, really.
Yeah. So,
unless obviously if they're dangerous and they've got like, you know, they can obviously detain the person, but
and you just can't believe it.
You just don't expect anyone to do anything like that.
And a whole video on it that went viral, so you can see it online. You can actually see the two reporters running for their lives before they actually got killed, which is quite sad to see for family members. But anyway, so moving on to smoking and and drinking rather. So e-cigarettes are to be regulated as medicines as an aid to quit smoking from 2016 rather. It's been announced. So these are the battery-operated devices which mimic cigarettes. And they said basically in the report that e-cigarettes are 95% safer than cigarettes themselves and are an effective quitting aid. So looking forward to that. And also what the review suggested was that e-cigarettes could be made available by the NHS on prescription.
Oh, right, okay.
Yes. But then others say that it's a waste of taxpayers' money and we shouldn't be funding somebody's addiction or somebody, you know, trying to help somebody quit. So yeah, very debatable. So,
just ban cigarettes altogether and then you'll have to
exactly, right?
You would have to quit sometime.
I'm sure after the show...
I know that's not a solution, I'm just joking.
But hopefully after the show they'll think about doing it, finally quitting. And another very alarming piece of news was that elderly people are warned over alcohol consumption. So elderly people these days are actually, you know, drinking more than they're supposed to. Oh. So in a study recently, elderly people were higher than those reported for general population. So their numbers are worse than just the young people these days.
I wonder why that is.
Exactly, crazy, right? Yeah. So that's all the news. So going into celebrities who actually quit smoking. So we have Gwyneth Paltrow. She's actually a health enthusiast, but she was actually an avid smoker during her teenage years. And she didn't even stop during the time of her father's death back in 2002. But what did make her stop was when she found out she was pregnant with her first daughter. Yeah. So that's positive.
That normally changes a lot of things, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. Don't know if if our viewers at home know about this one. Barack Obama. So the American president began smoking as a teenager, and he's actually discussed his addiction previously, and he vowed to quit in 2007. And he said that he chewed Nicorette to avoid succumbing to cravings brought on by stresses of his presidency. I can imagine it must be a very stressful job. So he really did try, but he kept relapsing every now and again. But what he did in 2009 is he passed on the anti-smoking bill. So that's his attempt to protect future generations from picking up this really bad habit.
Good.
Yes. Moving on, Giselle Bündchen. So she's a supermodel, and she used to use smoking as a tactic to maintain her slim body figure. So that's really sad.
Just ruin your skin instead.
Exactly, or something else, or give you another illness.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it's, I think, quite common amongst models apparently. So it's not a good thing to do. But she claimed that she gained 15 pounds when she quit, but she's much happier that she has. Yeah. So that's the most important thing. Couple Catherine Zeta-Jones and Michael Douglas. So they are both relapsed in smoking, stopped and started again. And actually, Michael Douglas was found to have a cancerous tumour in his throat in 2011, which was most likely caused by his frequent alcohol consumption and smoking. Very sad indeed. So it's very, very dangerous. Moving on to celebrities you didn't know were alcohol addicts. So a really sad one, Daniel Radcliffe, so from the Harry Potter films. Really? Yes, he was 11 years old when he started playing the role. And I guess having, you know, all this fame and pressure at such a very young age, he eventually became dependent on alcohol.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and in 2008 he was diagnosed also with a neurological coordination disorder, which made it difficult to carry out regular day-to-day tasks. But he's tried to stop his addiction, and there was reports that he was sometimes coming to sets drunk, which is obviously not very good. But after obviously recognising that he had this problem, he turned into social recluse at 20 and became sober in 2010. So at least that's good.
It's got past that.
Yeah. Obviously,
time for a couple more. Jen,
a couple more.
One
Okay.
More
Robin Williams was also an alcoholic, and sadly we know how it ended. But actually, that wasn't the cause of his death. Ben Affleck, Armageddon actor Ben Affleck. I love that film, by the way. So he also had problem with alcohol. He tried to stay sober for a decade, but he relapsed again. But apparently he's stopped, and that's a thing of the past.
Great. Well done.
But again, this is apparently, according to what I've read. But we never know really what happens behind closed doors.
I can see what's written down. She's got Diana Ross there as well.
Yeah, Diana Ross.
But we have to go now, and a few others. Jenny, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll be inspiring our viewers and helping them to quit if they want to quit.
I'm sure you will.
Thank you. Right, so up next is all about the first legal killer of the night, smoking, and I'll be joined by our resident GP, Dr. Rob Hicks. Plus, later on in the show, I'll be sharing with you my top tips on how to help a loved one quit a bad habit. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Welcome back, and if you've just joined us, today's show is all about the legal killers, smoking and drinking. And tonight we have with us our resident GP, Dr. Rob Hicks. Hello, Doctor.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
So another very important topic that we need to discuss, because obviously smoking affects and drinking affects people both physically and mentally.
Yes, there's not really a part of the body that isn't affected in a detrimental way by, from smoking and alcohol. So, very, very important. And smoking, of course, still the number one killer for people with, smoking-related diseases. It's not just cancer, it's also heart disease, it's also lung disease. And I think people are not aware that actually smoking will weaken a man and a woman's fertility. So one of the pieces of advice we give to couples who are trying to conceive is, pack in the cigarettes, as soon as possible.
Right. So it does affect quite a few things, because most people would just automatically think lung cancer or something, but it's just so much more than that. Yeah,
there's other cancers as well, but also, you mentioned in one of the tweets earlier, someone who'd lost their little brother to COPD, which is, the major cause of COPD, which used to be called chronic bronchitis and emphysema, it's smoking, and it occurs in anybody over the age of 35 really who is convincing themselves, I've just got a smoker's cough. The likelihood is that they haven't just got a smoker's cough, they've actually got COPD, and this is a condition that the only positive thing you can do is stop smoking, because we haven't got treatments to be able to cure it. We've got treatments that can help people breathe more easily, but it's only not smoking and giving up smoking that will actually halt the damage that's happening within the person's lungs. Why
is smoking so addictive?
It's the nicotine in the cigarettes that is the addictive component, and yet it's not the nicotine that causes the problems. So it's the nicotine that gives somebody the buzz. It's it quickly, you inhale it, it quickly gets to the brain. It makes people feel more relaxed. It makes people feel more confident, more alert, because of the way that actually it affects the brain and the receptors. It's all the other toxins and poisons that are in cigarettes, chemicals like ammonia, for example, cyanide, that's an arsenic,
I didn't know all of this was... so the nicotine itself is okay, but it's just the other stuff that they have to put together with the nicotine to make a cigarette
that's what damages the cells and triggers the inflammatory process that damages the arteries, that ends up in heart attacks and strokes. That's what triggers cancers to occur, which is why we are confident to offer people nicotine replacement therapy. Nicotine in the through a patch, maybe it's chewing gum, maybe there's a nasal spray or a mouth spray, maybe it's something you put under the tongue, maybe it's something called an inhalator, which looks like a bit of old-fashioned plastic cigarette, which you just breathe in, to give yourself that dose of nicotine, because that's what people crave. They crave the nicotine because of the benefits.
So it's without the chemicals, basically.
Without the chemicals, and it's why...
what do you think of the news earlier that Jenny was talking about giving out the e-cigarettes on prescription?
E-cigarettes, I think, are a benefit. They're clearly safer than smoking cigarettes. I mean, ideally, we would have people not smoking cigarettes, not using any form of nicotine whatsoever, but we live in the real world. And what we want to do is help people and protect them from damaging themselves, but also people around them. Let's not forget about secondhand smoke, passive smoking, which you can get lung cancer and have never smoked a cigarette in your life as a consequence of passive smoking. And children, for example, more likely to get glue ear, the middle ear infection, more likely to die of sudden infant death syndrome, cot death, because of passive smoking. So, there are many reasons why people should be encouraged and helped and supported to give up.
Definitely. And sometimes I don't think people even realise the impact that smoking has on their body and their surroundings as well.
No, I mean, you often hear people say, well, I only smoke when I'm at the pub with my friends.
Yeah, but
well, you can't actually anymore because you go outside. But I only smoke when I'm socialising. Well, you're still smoking.
So there's never a safe sort of amount like you would have with alcohol, say, which we're going to talk about after the break.
No, I think the only safe approach with smoking is not to smoke and to be away from smoking.
Okay. What does it do to you mentally? Obviously, I know it makes you feel good and stuff like that, but obviously, if you get addicted, then there's a whole heap of other mental health issues.
Well, it's a stimulant. Nicotine is a stimulant, and that's what people want. And that's the difficulty is the more they smoke, the longer they smoke, the more nicotine they need to get that benefit. So they will keep reaching for another cigarette, another cigarette to keep you on a sort of level that you're used to. Otherwise, what happens is you get miserable. Your concentration wanders a bit. You get the withdrawal, the cravings, which is what people are frightened of, and which is why nicotine replacement therapy and indeed e-cigarettes most likely will be a way of managing that while somebody gives up. I mean, there are different ways. People can go cold turkey, and some people succeed. But
my dad did that
don't.
Actually, because we were he was more worried about us, sort of the kids in the house and stuff, and he, from one day to the next, he had so much willpower, just literally just stopped and never smoked again.
And it works for some people. I mean, you get a better chance of successfully quitting if you have counselling and support. You get an even better chance if you have counselling plus nicotine replacement therapy. And we have a couple of drugs that we can prescribe to help people deal with the withdrawal, deal with the effects of coming off cigarettes. I think what's really important is that people are not criticised for smoking. They need to be positively supported, and you need to set a date. And actually, people often say, I'm going to set the date on New Year's Day. They say on New Year's Day, I'm going to quit smoking. Well, it's like anything, you need to plan it. So set a date in advance, make it very clear to yourself and others that you're trying and why. Is it because you want to protect your children? Is it because you want to protect your own health? Is it because you want to save money?
Which is another great incentive, isn't it?
It costs thousands to be a smoker. And the other thing is to set yourself rewards along the way. Right, I've been a non-smoker or an ex-smoker for a week. I'm going to go and have a massage or something. Spend the money on that, and recognise. I mean, the reality is not everybody does it first time. It often takes half a dozen attempts.
Beat yourself up if you do.
Don't say that you're a failure or I'm not going to bother. Look at what tripped you up. Whether it was, your mates kept smoking and so you were tempted, or people kept offering you a cigarette, or maybe you just felt really, really down and you reached for a cigarette to lift you up, and find what those hurdles were, what tripped you up, and get past them.
Definitely. All right, so Rob, you're not going to go away yet because we're going to be talking about alcohol after the break. But just before that, did you know that it's a fact that proper nutrition helps recovering addicts and anyone else actually to feel better because nutrients give the body energy, help build and repair organ tissue and strengthen the immune system. Now, many addicts have damaged vital organs because of the alcohol and cigarette abuse, so eating healthily gives them the nutritional building blocks they need to begin restoring these damaged tissues. And good nutrition also affects mood. Research shows that changes in your diet can alter brain structure and actually influence your behavior. So this means that addicts can use food to feel better physically and mentally, and in many cases, feeling better reduces the risk of relapse. So having said all of that, of course, now it's time for a healthy recipe that's packed with nutrients with Hannah Richards. Let's take a look.
Hello, my name's Hannah Richards and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to make something really quick and easy and very nutritious. It's a sweet potato and courgette fritter. Let's see how you make it. First of all, you need a sweet potato, a carrot and a courgette. So I'm going to start just by peeling them, and then once they've been peeled, we're going to grate them. And if the vegetables are too watery, then you won't get a nice packed fritter when you start cooking it. So let's grate away. Now you can choose whichever vegetables you like. I'd pick 3. Courgettes are very watery, so you could just do this using sweet potato. So gently let the vegetables come out. Now we're just going to let that sit aside and let all the water come out of it, and then we'll give it a squeeze before we start. We left the carrot, the sweet potato and the courgette over to one side just to try and get some of that moisture out. But I'm just going to show you exactly how much moisture and water these vegetables contain. Now it's a good tip when you're reading through your recipe book, and it says to add flour. The flour is so that it soaks up all this water. So if you actually give your vegetables a good squeeze before you start adding the flour, you will add a lot less flour. And before I start adding anything else to that, we're going to make the top. So for the garlic topping, I'm going to use some wild garlic. Take a couple of bulbs of the wild garlic and just peel them down as much as you can. So garlic is also great for healing the body in many ways. And we're going to add into this beautiful creme fraiche. So give that a good mix in. And the last ingredient is this beautiful herb that I'm a big fan of, dill. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit in there, handful, and give it a stir. And that's just going to be the topping for our fritters that we're going to crack on with now. So we're just going to turn the heat on here, wrong one, to medium heat. And I'm going to use some virgin coconut oil. So just whiz that round the pan. Then we're going to crack an egg into the vegetables, and we're going to add some almond flour. The egg acts as a binder, and we need these vegetables to stick together. Add 1 spoon of the flour, take a handful of the vegetables and make it into a little patty, shaping as you go round. You want to make sure it's going to stick together in your hand, because if it doesn't stick together in your hand, it sure as eggs isn't going to stick together in the pan. And we want them to get a good coating on the bottom before we flip them over. Okay, so I'm just going to flip these guys over. You see they've got some nice golden colour on there, but it also adds to their shape. So we're going to serve them up. I'm going to scatter mine with a little bit of dill for some garnish. Take 2 frittatas. Top with our garlic creme fraiche. Beautiful. Season with a bit of black pepper, of Himalayan sea salt, a squeeze of lemon, and voila. Starter fit for a king.
Thank you so much for that, Hannah. Now, if you want to let us know your thoughts or advice on this subject, you can do so by tweeting us at Chrissy B Show or commenting on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Next up is the second legal killer of drinking, and Dr. Rob Hicks will be joining us for that too. Plus, later on in the show, I'll be sharing with you my top tips on how to help a loved one quit a bad habit. We'll be right back here on The Chrissy B Show. So don't go away. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Hello everyone, and if you've just joined us, we're discussing in more detail the legal killers, which are smoking and drinking. Just before the break, we examined smoking, and now it's time to explore drinking. So let's welcome back Dr. Rob Hicks. Hello again.
Cheers.
Yes, we have water.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Cheers. Yeah.
So Rob, so before the break, you were saying that there isn't really a safe amount of cigarettes that you can have. The best thing is to quit completely. It's not the same with alcohol, is it?
No, alcohol, I mean, there are some specific expert guidelines as to what is felt to be a safe amount of alcohol for men and women to consume. So according to the UK government, for men, they say no more than 3 or 4 units of alcohol on a regular basis. And by regular basis, they mean every day or most days of the week. And for women, no more than 2 to 3 units of alcohol on a regular basis. If you want to do a sort of rough calculation, some people say for men no more than 21 units in a week, and for women no more than 14 units in a week, highlighting that shouldn't be on one day. Yeah. Because I've heard patients say, well, look, I only have it on a Saturday night.
Yeah, and they have it all at once.
And they have it all at once, and we know, and that's binge drinking. And we know the problems of binge drinking, not just the risk of alcohol poisoning, but also the social problems that come with that binge drinking, the crime, the unwanted pregnancies, the sexually transmitted infections that are, consequence of binge drinking and being very, very drunk.
Okay. And is beer or wine sort of safer to drink than the hard stuff?
Well, it's down to units again. So you've got in a pint of beer, an average strength pint of beer, you've got 3 units. So one unit in a third of a pint of beer. In a standard wine glass of 175 mils, you've got 2 units. So if you think of half a glass of wine as being 1 unit, and then in a standard measure of spirits, which is 25 mils, you've got 1 unit. So if you line those up, you can, you have a third of a pint of beer, half a glass of wine, and a measure of spirits, and you've got your 3 units.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. And I think people are not aware of that, and a lot of the manufacturers now have actually started putting the number of units on the bottles to give people an idea. Granted, people probably don't read a bottle of beer when they're drinking it, but it's there for people, and there are online, and apps where you can calculate how much you're drinking, because it is down to the units that's important. It's how much alcohol you drink.
Now, when a person actually has got to the stage where they're drunk, what is that doing to the body?
Well, it's causing if you think about it, if you've ever seen somebody who's drunk, they tend to be, for a while, they're the life and soul of the party, because alcohol, it reduces inhibition. So you might socialise with somebody, you might get up and dance, whereas normally you wouldn't. But also it then affects coordination, so people stagger around and fall down. Speech becomes slurred. Their reaction time is slowed. Their processing time is slowed, because alcohol interferes with the way that the brain communicates with itself, and it slows it down and sends it haywire, which is why people have accidents. So that's what it's doing to the body, and the
damage inside.
Damage inside, it puts blood pressure up, and we've talked many times on how high blood pressure increases the risk of heart attacks and strokes, and actually increase the risk of heart failure. Damages the liver. Most people know about that. For men, it contributes to erectile dysfunction, to impotence. Again, it affects fertility. It increases the risk of certain cancers. So breast cancer, for example, is increased by, on a level on par with how much you drink. So the more you drink, the greater your risk. So there's a lot of reason to be aware. And of course, it damages the brain, so people have alcohol-induced memory loss, which is permanent. Plus it leads to, if you're a long-term drinker, you're likely to end up malnourished and deficient in certain nutrients.
Gosh, so much to it,
So
isn't
there is not a single part of the body that isn't
liver,
affected.
as most would think liver and drink driving.
It's not just liver.
A whole array of things.
I mean, if you're thinking of the major killers from alcohol, it's liver disease, heart disease and cancers.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of other things as well. And, I think most people enjoy an alcoholic drink from time to time. And the thing to do is to do it, sensibly and to do it in moderation.
Why do you think some people don't?
Don't
do it in moderation.
I think alcohol is really quite readily available. I think people have seen the sort of what they perceive as the benefits of having a drink. I also think that many people feel pressured.
Yeah.
To keep up with their mates when they're out at a party.
Because you are sort of seen as the odd one out. If everyone else is drinking, you're just having an orange juice or something. It's like, go on, just one.
Exactly. And then one leads to another and leads to another. So I think that there's the availability and there is the social pressure to drink and indeed get very, very drunk, foolishly drunk.
And in terms of help and support for someone that wants to quit alcohol, what's available?
There's lots available. So you've got to recognise that there's a problem, and the person has to be ready to deal with the problem. And sadly, it's often the case of they have a heart attack or they're diagnosed with liver cirrhosis, and then they think, right, I've got to do something about it. But there's rehabilitation programs. There's medication that can be prescribed to help people stay off alcohol.
Okay.
There's the support groups. There are many alcohol support groups that people can go to. So there is help there. And again, I don't think I think it's very important not to criticise somebody. They've got onto this downward spiral. We need to help them turn that around, particularly when they've come asking for help.
And it's always possible. That's the great thing,
isn't
it?
It's always
because
possible.
No one is too far gone to get help and to get support as well.
No, I've looked after a number of patients who they haven't managed it first time. They've come off they've given up and then they've gone back for whatever reason. Yeah. And they've gone through the process half a dozen times before they've successfully given up alcohol. Yeah. But they feel far better for it now. Yeah, they do. And that's an important lesson for all of us and family members and friends as well, that we should never give up on anyone as well. No, and I think emotionally, not say, they've done it again, so I'm not even going to bother anymore. We can't have that kind of attitude. No, and what we haven't mentioned is that alcohol's a depressant. So you may feel a bit spirited to start with, but you feel pretty low afterwards. Yeah, that's right. So why it's not a good idea to use alcohol to overcome mental health problems like stress, anxiety and depression, because it makes them worse. It makes it worse. Doctor, thank you so much for coming on again, and we'll be working you back very, very soon. Thank you, it's been great. All right, guys, so when people have quit or are in the process of quitting any addiction, they can feel a bit lost. And if they've been addicted for quite a long time, it's like their whole identity kind of revolves around that addiction. So maybe they didn't have much time for anything else. And this, of course, means that they're even unsure of what type of activities, for example, that they would actually enjoy. So experts suggest that people in recovery experiment with lots of different activities. Now, this helps them to find new things to like, but it also makes being sober much more fun. And experts also suggest that it's best to try a number of different hobbies in recovery so that you won't become too obsessed with just one activity and start using that activity as an addiction substitute. So here's a new activity that I tried that might be fun and help you or a loved one on the road to recovery. Let's take a look. Well, today, everyone, I'm at the Cranford Archery Club, about to try something different. So as we all know, outdoor activities and doing something new is very good for your mental health and well-being. So this is something I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, it's a little bit windy today, so it's going to be a bit more difficult than it usually is, but I'll do my best and tell you how I get on.
So I'm here with Colin, who's been my instructor for the day. So Colin, I've had a really good time here today, something new for me. So how long have you been into this?
I've been doing it, getting on for 30 years. I'm now 71. I started when I was, about 43, so.
And what is it that you love the most about it? What keeps you coming here and doing this and coaching people as well?
It gets you out in the summer. It gets you out in the sun when it's a nice sunny day. It's a bit windy today, but normally when it's a nice quiet sunny day, you can get a field full of archers all shooting away, enjoying themselves. Although you enter competitions, there are tournaments around, and occasionally you manage to win some medals or whatever. You're really only shooting against yourself under the conditions on the day. Because you're all side by side, all shooting away, you don't know how everybody else is doing. You don't know what the scores are until you get to the end. Then you add them up and find out who's won.
So Colin here is 71 years old, and we were actually talking about how people sometimes when they reach a certain age, they slow down, but you're not doing that, are you, Colin?
Trying not to. No. If you too many people when they retire just sort of stop, and that's fatal. If you can stay active. Keep your breathing active. Do something which keeps you moving around. Archery is not very strenuous, but it does stretch your muscles. It does mean you're walking up and down. You're out in the open air, and you shoot right through the year. We shoot indoors in the winter, right through the winter. So it's a year-round sport.
And honestly, how do you think I've done today?
I think you've done very well for somebody doing it for the very first time. You are actually getting all of your arrows onto the target, even though it's a fairly short distance. Some people, even at that distance, some people struggle for a couple of dozen before they even start hitting the target.
Well, you're a great coach, I have to say. Thank you. Thank you so much for a lovely day. Thank you.
Hey everyone, that's the closest one that I got.
Alright, so I hope that's helped in giving you some ideas of new activities that you can try. Well, up next, I'll be sharing with you my top tips on how to help a loved one quit bad habits. So I'll see you in just a second. Hi, I'm Chrissy B, and my show is all about improving your mental health and being happy. Join me every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 10 p.m. on my channel Sky 203. Visit chrissybshow.tv for more information and subscribe to our YouTube channel Chrissy B Show. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Chrissy B Show and on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. It's Legal Killers Day here at the Chrissy B Show, and we're doing our part to raise awareness about what smoking and drinking can do to you and help those who are trying to quit. Throughout the show tonight, we've had Dr. Rob Hicks, who's talked about how you can quit and why you should quit these bad habits. And by the way, if you've missed the beginning of this important show, you can watch it and all of our previous shows on our YouTube channel, Chrissy B Show, and please also subscribe. But today I want to give you some advice on how to help a loved one or friend or someone you know quit a bad habit. And I believe these tips I'm about to give will be really helpful, so let's go through them right now. So let's go to the first point. Number one is to celebrate their success. Now, many times people who are trying to quit a bad habit often have this fear in the back of their minds that maybe they will fail, and they tend not to celebrate the little victories that they have. So make sure you do encourage them to celebrate the little steps which will give them the will to keep going. And the second point is encourage them to exercise. Now, exercise relieves and reduces stress, and it's been shown to alleviate both physical and psychological stress. Tension builds in our bodies, and when we're actually at work and even just when we're watching TV. So moving your body alleviates this tension and gets rid of any negative emotions. So focused exercise uses both physical and emotional energy, so your loved one will be less likely to use addiction as a way of escape instead. The second reason they should exercise is because exercise naturally and positively alters your brain chemistry. So when you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which creates a natural high, which is actually the same endorphins your loved one's body releases while abusing substances, if you didn't know. And the third point, they should exercise, is because exercise improves your outlook and makes you feel more positive and confident, and will help your loved ones see that they don't need any substances. So before I go to my next point, here's Jane with that all-important fitness tip.
Hi everyone, it's Jane here with your fitness tips for the day. So today I want to talk to you about your pectoral muscles. Now these muscles are the muscles that run across the chest here, okay? So it's important for the guys and the girls to work their pectorals. Obviously guys like to have nicely formed chest muscles, but also ladies, did you know that if you work your pectorals and you get some nice muscle tone, that it can help to lift the breast tissue, and also it gives you a better cleavage. So it really is worth focusing on these muscles. I'm going to show you a couple of exercises to help you do that at home or in the gym. So if you've got weights at home, I'm going to show you how to do a chest fly. So you take hold of your weights. Now these are 3 kilograms. The chest muscles don't get used that often, so if you're new to weights, I would start with lighter, maybe even 2 kilograms, something like that. You can build up your strength and go heavier when your muscles get stronger. So you lie on your back with your knees bent and just very gently engage your abdominals and pull your belly button in towards your spine, and that will stop you from arching your back. So that protects the lower back. And we take the weights above the chest line, and when you work with weights, be careful that you don't hyperextend the joint, especially if you've got hypermobility. You need to just keep a tiny bit of softness in that joint all the time. Make sure your weights aren't above your face, they're above your chest line. And then you open up your arms and you almost go to the floor. Okay, so not here, guys. You need to keep your arms extended but not locked, and then back. Now, if you find that your arms are shaking, or you can't get that low without bending your elbows, then that would indicate that your weights are a little bit too heavy, okay? If you could just do this for the next hour, then your weights are too light. So what you should feel like is by the time you get to say your 12th repetition, that you're starting to feel really tired. And that's an indication that you've got the right weight for you. So 12 repetitions per set with good form, and aim to do maybe 3 sets every time you do it. I would do this 3 or 4 times a week, by the way. Can you see I'm going nice and slowly as well? We don't rush this, we want good technique. So that, guys, is your chest fly. I'm going to show you a press up, which works the chest, and obviously you don't need any equipment to do it. So the easiest way to do a press up is a box press up, bum above the hips, hands a bit wider than shoulder width apart, and then you take your nose down to the floor, in front of your fingers, okay? Not here. That's not going to work for you. You need to take some body weight into your shoulders and your chest. And then extend the legs back. Knees on the floor is a little bit more difficult than the box position, or you can float your knees and do full press-ups. And I would do, again, maybe sets of between 8 and 12, and do 3 sets of those. And if you go to the gym, make sure you go on the pec deck machine. It's the machine where you have pads here and you push them in and out to work the chest. So good luck with that, everybody, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much, Jay. Now let's move on to my third point, which is be discreet. Now, don't make your loved one feel uncomfortable by being too pushy. So if they've not spoken about their progress, ask them about it in a friendly way, and especially not in front of other people. Maybe they've had a bad day, maybe they've, kind of fallen back into something. And if you kind of ask them in front of other people, it's going to make them feel really, really uncomfortable. So make sure you kind of do it in a sensitive way, I would say. The fourth point is, take their mind off it. So when you make a conscious effort not to think about something, and then you end up thinking about that thing even more. So like when you're maybe trying to lose weight, and as soon as you start your new diet, all you seem to think about is food. I know that's happened to me in the past. So that's how breaking a bad habit can actually feel. So to help your loved one, try the wonderful art of distraction. Take them out, go for a walk, maybe join in with some activities that we spoke about earlier. Just try to kind of get their mind focused on something else rather than that substance that they've given up. And my fifth point is, don't judge them. Now, obviously, this is something that Rob spoke about before as well, and like about not being critical of someone that is trying to quit a bad habit. So maybe your loved one's had a slip up and you get frustrated and you say, oh, you were doing so well. Why did you go back to it? I thought you were going to do it this time. Those kind of comments will not help them. It's just going to make them feel bad. So people that are trying to quit an addiction can sometimes feel like they're being judged about their failure. So you need to reassure your loved one that mistakes will happen, but that you'll always be there to support them, and also to show them that you believe in them, even though no matter how many times they might slip up. As you heard from Rob, most people don't, they don't quit straight away. A lot of people relapse. So if you show them that you believe in them and you'll be there for them no matter what, they're more likely to quit a bad habit. So I do hope that's helped, lovely people, and don't think it's too late for you to quit any addiction. If I have every faith in you, and I know you can do it. Well, sadly, that's all we have time for today's program. But don't forget, if you have a story to share, you can do so here on the show by just filling in the form on our website, chrissybshow.tv. And also, if you have an idea for a topic more related to mental health topics that you'd like to see discussed on this program, please also do get in touch with us. So that's all we have time for, as I said. So we'll see you again next time. Bye for now. And I'll be joined by resident GP, Dr. Rob Hicks. I didn't realise there was another one, sorry. The fourth point is, take their mind off. There's a spelling mistake. I've got a couple of clips just to... So let's now go to my fourth point, take their mind off it. Now, with alcohol use has risen. What a mouthful. I'm so sorry. That was really quick.